Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the FB4 podcast. It's Sunday night. The three of us have managed to get on the call together, and we're really proud of ourselves for that. It's me, Gav, it's Matt, and it's Grizz. We're going to talk about the Arsenal game. We're going to anything that comes along. We'll talk about it. That's just how we work. Lads, how are we? Matt, how are you? First of all,
hot, mate. Too hot.
Yeah, too hot. So you came indoors.
Exactly.
Okay, Grizz, how are you?
Nice sound tonight.
Yeah, I'm hot as well, but I've always been hot. I've been told.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Nothing
Nothing new there.
Must have been your mother told you.
And yours.
I like that.
He's off to a bang.
He's off to a flyer. It's all downhill from here. Right, lads. Liverpool are 3 from 3, 9 points from 9. Top of the league. The only one with a 100% record. 3-1 win against Arsenal yesterday, and I suppose we'll start with the lineup. I thought it was the lineup. It was the lineup I expected. The only thing was for me, would it be Matip or would it be Gomez? He goes with Matip, and that decision was completely and utterly justified, judging on that performance yesterday.
Yeah, Matip's done enough to warrant his place. I said this at the start of the season. As much as I love Gomez and a player he has, when Matip came in February, whatever, he didn't put a foot wrong. All the way through to that Champions League final, he didn't put a foot wrong. So until if he does mess up, it's him in, I'm afraid, over Gomez. We just have to wait a little bit longer until we see that partnership blossom. But for me at the moment, I just keep picking Matip and he keeps performing. There's no issue with it.
Grizz, I'm a massive fan of Gomez. I know you're a massive fan of Gomez, but he started against Norwich at home. I think he done all right, probably 7 out of 10. But Matip has come in since, and I think we look a lot more solid. Our line looks, the line, or this higher line that people keep talking about, looks a lot more in sync. Going forward for you, Matip retains that position no matter what. What I say, no matter what, he could fall over and do himself in for a year. But as things stand, Gomez is definitely third choice now. Would you agree?
Yeah, it's not about third choice and fourth. I don't want to get into it make it a debate of second choice, third choice. But I'm a big fan of Gomez, but I'm a bigger fan of not changing a centre back pairing unless you have to. And I think as Matt says, unless we have to, really have to, then I'd stick with Matip and VVD. As we've said before, we've discussed many times, Matip has won over all the doubters that he had, which was included me and you, Gav. Mm-hmm. He's won us over, and he's become an integral part of that back four. I'd argue he was even better than VVD near the end of last season, last few games. So not shocked, but slightly surprised that Gomez came back in at the start of the season. I just find that he's more secure on that right hand side. There's less. It brings more experience, more calmness to that right side of defence, along with Trent. I find when Gomez and Trent play there, teams kind of sense that there's going to be a bit of panic and a bit of a gap between Gomez and Trent. Whereas when Matip plays there, it's far more secure. I thought he'd done a beautiful job against Arsenal as well. Everyone was worried about their pace and sort of Gomez got to be in for the pace, but I didn't see Aubameyang or whoever was playing on that side run past Matip. So I think he's got his place in the team.
Matt, is that a fair assumption that teams target us a little bit less down that right hand side when Matip is there, as opposed to a Trent sort of Gomez combination? And the questions come in there, Matt, as well, about Matip's in the last year of his contract apparently. Can you see us tidying that up and extending his contract?
No, I don't agree with Grizz at all. I think Grizz is making that on the basis of one game against Norwich. People target that right side anyway because it's Trent. Well, they used to. They've learned not to now. But I don't think if you look at Gomez last season and forget about the Norwich game because he has been out for so long, if you look at him last season, we were just as secure with him than we were with Matip, and you can tell that anyway because look how everyone's clamoring for him to play. So I don't agree with Grizz at all. But if Matip's playing now and he's getting ahead of Gomez. Maybe he will sign his contract. I'm sure Klopp and the team want him there because whether he's first choice or second choice, he's a great player to have. He's settled here. He plays very well next to Van Dijk, and he knows our style very well. And you see that when he brings the ball out, it's exactly what Klopp wants, playing from the back, and he does it very well. So I'm pretty sure, I'm fairly certain that'll get tied up this season.
Yeah, I'd like to see it happen. Lovren's fallen off I suppose he's fallen off the face of the earth when it comes to Liverpool at the minute. I wouldn't be surprised if you see him moving even before this window shuts on, is it Thursday it shuts?
I think he would have been gone if his wages weren't so high.
Yeah,
and I reckon it's holding up.
And I think Roma kind of were messing about with fees and what money they had. There's a comment in here that says Gomez is still rusty. Glad to have 4 centre backs that we don't have to worry about. Yeah, he is a bit rusty, but I'd probably like to see him come on for 20 minutes, 25 minutes in games that we're controlling, and it just gets him going, and takes that rustiness out of his game. Massive future at Liverpool for me anyway, so absolutely nothing to worry about. Lads, moving on to the midfield, it was the Wijnaldum, Henderson, Fabinho combination. Again, it was something I expected. Grizz, were you surprised by that, or did you always think that midfield had happened as well?
No, there was a bit of a clamour for Ox after his second half performance against Southampton, and with him signing a new deal, but it was always going to be the tried and tested, I guess, midfield against Arsenal. When I say tried and tested, I mean sort of in terms of this is the kind of midfield that we always go for against Arsenal, like the most combative, the fittest, the most powerfulest. So yeah, there was no surprises in midfield, and we actually, I think our midfield often gets slated, but again, we absolutely smothered them in midfield. So again, it was proven to be correct.
Yeah, no, I think it was. Matt, just talking on midfield quickly, was it the one you expected? Was it the one you wanted? Because the front three picks itself.
I think Matt's just rejoining. You left.
I mean, sorry, missed that.
Yeah, no worries.
Go on, say it again.
I said the midfield, the three in midfield. Was there any way different you would have liked to see us start? The front three we're not going to go into until the actual game, but that picks itself. But that midfield three, as Grizz says, there was a bit of a clamour for Oxlade-Chamberlain, but that midfield three for me is the one you go into games with at the moment, and I'd be quite happy with it. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, it's the big game midfield three for me. Us as fans are so reactionary that we will be clambering for Ox, and we'll do the same for Keita when he has half a good game as well. But luckily, Klopp's not the same. He knows exactly what the midfield needs to be. And I think we're going to see that midfield quite a lot. I'm not a massive fan of Gini and Hendo both playing together. I think last season definitely they offered the same thing, basically. But you do see Hendo getting a lot more further forward now, so there's a bit more balance in the three of them. Fabinho's just an absolute monster of a player. There's no question over him. It's always going to be them two. Gini on his day, he's one of the best in the Premier League, and now Hendo's moving further forward. He connects well with the front three, so if we keep the balance like that and they keep playing the way they are, then yeah, that midfield's very, very good for this team. It gives the perfect base for the fullbacks and the front three to attack at will, basically. Yeah, without having to worry about covering back. Absolutely,
I think that midfield three being functional lets our front three and in particular our fullbacks open up on teams, and that's the best way we play. Lads, Arsenal went out with an approach with a diamond in midfield. They played Aubameyang and kind of Pepe up front. They tried to switch things around. People thought that was Arsenal being clever. Sky tried to tell you that Liverpool were worried and nervous over it and confused and on the ropes and all sorts of madness out of Sky since the beginning of the season. It's the one thing that's annoyed me most over the season, I'm going to be honest with you. But Grizz, I made the point on the show last night that I believe that, and I said it all week, Arsenal's mentality coming to Anfield is all wrong. It's all wrong, no matter what players they have at their disposal. It's all wrong. And I think that the way they tried to approach that game yesterday wasn't clever at all. It was them fearing us completely and not trying to be clever, just being a bit stupid, Grizz. Did you not think so?
I don't fully agree. I agree with the fact that, the mentality is always wrong when they come to us, and, regardless of what's happening and where they are and how we're playing, I'm always confident of smashing them to bits. I did actually think, do you remember I was in the week, I was telling you lot, I've got a lot of time for this coach, and I'll be amazed if he doesn't try something different this weekend. Well, he did try something different, but it didn't work. It worked. It kind of worked from minute 10 to about minute 30, maybe for about 20 minutes in the game, where we were still trying to figure out what they're playing and how they're playing. And it was in that period where our quality from the wide flanks wasn't good, like Trent and Robbo didn't quite have their crossing boots on. So for about 20 minutes, it seemed like, it seemed like they had a threat. But once we worked out who's playing where, how they're playing, I think we just overloaded them to bits, and they just couldn't get out. I didn't really see what Sky was seeing.
Nobody sees what Sky are seeing, Grizz.
But you can understand the Pepe when he's through. That's a Henderson slip, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where he miskicks the ball back. So that's fair enough. That shit can happen. The other one they keep highlighting was when. Very similar to the Salah goal, where Pepe hits the ball past VVD and runs past him for about 20 yards, and then VVD catches him up, over 20 yards, and the guy shits himself and passes it backwards. I think they made a real big deal about that.
The ones that got me was the one that goes over the top, and Adrian should just pull over to the side of one of his box and allow Van Dijk to play it to him, and he comes rushing out. That's a mistake from us that gives Aubameyang a chance.
That's right.
The one where Pepe gets a chance, he does well. He gets past Robertson well. It's a poor finish. But it comes from air attack and Henderson missing the ball, trying to play it back. There was no stage in that game where I thought Arsenal are opening us up here, and people like Chris Brack says there, the atmosphere yesterday was brilliant. He thought we were on top from start to finish. Mick agrees, thinks we are in control for the whole game. Skipper Dog says great results, Sky are anti-Liverpool. Sam says we win so often, Sky are waiting for us to slip up. It really seems to be any little thing, and it gets blown out of all proportion. I felt Arsenal's two best chances yesterday came from mistakes from Liverpool, but
as a result of our sloppiness. So they didn't actually control any part of the game, in my opinion, and they were mad. They were absolutely mad. I said to you, if he doesn't change his formation and still tries to play out from the back, he will go down in my estimation. And he did. Awful. The way they kept trying to play out from the back with Luiz and their centre-backs in the midfield was just pure suicide.
You could see what they were trying to do, though. I don't think they were actually trying to play out from the back. They were trying to draw us in, which they did.
Yes, they were.
Because their game plan was to play long over the top to Aubameyang and Pepe, who are speed merchants. And in fairness, it's not a bad approach. It's just we're such a better team that it didn't work.
I tell you, Matt, why it's a bad approach. I agree with you that they were trying to suck us in, but then to play that approach, you got to actually play the ball over the top, which they didn't. They continue to try to chip it into midfield. That was suicide. I agree with you. If they're trying to suck us in and sort of, especially with the new goalkeeping rule as well, and they know that we're not gonna sit back. We're gonna all our three of our midfielders are gonna be past the halfway line, right in their half almost. Right? Our strikers are gonna be in their penalty box, and we're gonna be, and our midfielders are gonna be 20 yards behind. They still didn't pop the ball over the top, and that was not frustrating. I would have been mad frustrated as an Arsenal fan, but I just loved it as a Liverpool fan. I couldn't believe they were doing this.
Yeah, look, to be honest with you, Matt, like the start of the game, I thought Liverpool were brilliant when they came out. Liverpool were a lot more measured, I felt, last season, early on in games. And because teams were sitting back, they were being very, very patient. I've noticed a little bit at the start of this season, Norwich and this game in particular, Liverpool came flying out of the traps. Would it be an argument that, regardless of what our formation Arsenal put out, someone on the chat has said there that he couldn't believe that Emery was so naive again. But is it just a case of, no matter what quality they have, Matt, they're just being outworked by us? The work rate from us is just outdoes anything that they want, anything they bring to the table. Is that the main thing? Is it the work rate?
It's a bit of everything. I mean, the work rate, obviously no team can get near that. We're the fittest team by far in the Premier League. But not just that, look at our quality. It's unbelievable. Every single area of the pitch, we are better than them. I wouldn't take one of their players. I don't know, maybe I'm being biased, but you'd see them wanting to take 9-10 of ours easy. And this is the type of team we are now. We're just better than everyone else. The only team that can come close is us and City. This is it. It's mad because we've had 2 good seasons, but it was watching the game yesterday, I realised how good of a fucking team we are, because we're so used to having an amazing season and then going downhill. And this is what we're used to. And coming into this season, people are worried about it, and we didn't buy anything in the transfer window. And there's always going to be this fear, or is it going to be like after 13-14? Is it going to be after Rafa in 2009? Are we going to have the same thing again? And we just aren't. We've just kicked on to another gear. And I just sat there yesterday. I was watching with a couple of Arsenal lads, mates of mine, and I just said this game has made me realise. just sitting next to them in the pub. This game's made me realise how good of a fucking team we are. Like, it's unbelievable. It doesn't matter what formation they play. If you want to play out from the back, if you want to play over the top, if you want to go toe to toe with us, if you want to go for dead ball situations, we just combat every single tactic. And teams are now coming into this thinking, they're not thinking how can they attack us. They're thinking, how can we stop Liverpool? And this is exactly what you want. You want them to take their eye off the ball of their tactics and start thinking about what we're doing. Where's Salah going to be?
Can I just quickly add something to that as well?
All right, go on.
I need Gav's permission first.
No, Matt's giving you permission. He's the one you interrupted.
No, I think Matt made some brilliant. I think he's been reading my bullet points. I think Gav. I think it was what I found yesterday. It wasn't our most like sort of where attack after attack, and we're opening them up at every opportunity, because I know we've slated Arsenal, but give them credit, they were quite solid for that first 30-40 minutes in terms of we couldn't open them up. But what I was confident, and the confidence this team instills in me, is the maturity of this team now, as Matt says. We're so good at assessing on the pitch. It doesn't have to be sort of Klopp taking us in at half-time and changing it all around and going mad. The players on the pitch are so smart and clever now, tactically astute to most scenarios. And the way we sort of work our way through games, like I said, it was a new system from Arsenal. It was a bit different. Normally Trent and Robbo are not afforded the width that they were given, the freedom they were given. So it was a bit of a shock to the system. Like, why are they giving our fullback so much freedom?
Sorry, mate. When I said you could interrupt, I thought it was going to be a quick point.
I've booked tomorrow off work. Go on.
No, this is so good. This is so good because this is the time to revel in it, man. Honestly, watching us in that phase of play and working it all out on the pitch amongst themselves without sort of taking instruction at halftime. I thought it's a beautiful thing to see, and that's what I wanted to say. I'm quite emotional about.
When we, not last season, probably the season. Probably the season before. We maybe Klopp's first season, we used to panic when we couldn't break teams down within the first half an hour, because we used to think, here we go again, another one of these days. Now, I just don't feel it at all. It doesn't feel like we're struggling to break them down. It feels like we're just turning the screw, and we're getting deeper and deeper, and they're getting more panicky, and eventually we're just going to score. Even if the first few crosses don't come off, Klopp's given this team the confidence where they try the same thing again and again and again until it does work, because he knows this team are good enough. He knows Trent's good enough to put the ball in, and you'll never see him shouting at a player and raging for having, like what Salah does. He cuts in on his left 10 times, boots it over the bar. It doesn't matter. You know he's just going to get closer and closer and closer, and then eventually he's going to score.
Yeah.
And just touching on him there, we'll probably talk about him later as well, but one of his best performances for us in the last 6 to 9 months, I think.
Do you know what? You've both gone on about how good we are, how, Matt's saying there, you're so used to us having a good season and then falling away. I I don't know what Grizz is doing there.
Sorry. I'm asking Matt what drink that is. It looks so lovely.
Okay. But
Lassie.
You're both going on about how good we are. Matt saying about having good seasons and falling away a bit like after 08, 09, 13, 14, different things like that. The biggest thing for me though is the reaction of people that don't support Liverpool to Liverpool is how good you are. And what I mean by that is, the excitement from people that don't support Liverpool when Pepe runs down the wing with the ball. It's like, oh, we found a chink in their armour. It just, it just goes on all the time, that kind of way. And I just think that's the biggest reaction for me. Is that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a compliment.
Yeah, it's a massive compliment. So I just think, for me, I think we're an outstanding side, and I think, like Matt, like one of you said as well, we used to panic, we used to, get frustrated. Now we'll beat you into the first 15, the last 15, the middle of the game. We'll do you on the break. We'll hold possession. We have all the tools for all sorts of, scenarios in games. Yeah. So I think that's the biggest thing for me. Lads, on to the goals. Matip gets the first one. A corner from Trent. It's a good header from Matip. We probably end up with a penalty apparently. For the pull on Van Dijk if the ball doesn't go in the net. But Matt, crucial to get that just before half time, wasn't it? Because Arsenal had kind of weathered an early storm, grown into it, and you didn't want to let them get to half time thinking, oh, we got through that first half, and give them confidence. A massive goal at that time, wasn't it?
I slightly disagree. I don't think it was crucial, but it's a beautiful time to get it. I think even if we don't get that, we come out second half and we carry on and we still get more. But yeah, it's a much easier half-time team talk when you get that. And Matip, you gotta love that lad celebrating. He just doesn't know what to do with his hands, does he? Like, do you see him lifting when they were lifting the cup, the Super Cup?
Yeah. His hands are independent to the rest of his body.
Wings or something, I don't know. He's off his head. I'm happy for the lad. He's scoring, he's happy, he's playing. But as a team, I don't think it was a necessity. We would have won anyway.
Yeah, no, I just thought, but getting to 40 minutes, I thought, I'd love a goal here. I just didn't want to give them any sort of encouragement. Grizz, we've given Matip a lot of praise on this show for the majority of it here as we went along since we started. But that's something I want to see more of from him. He's 6'5" or whatever he is. Yeah. I want to see I'd love to see between say 5 and 8 goals from him this season, and I think it'd make a big difference.
I think you say I'd love to be half his height.
No. I tell you, pot kettle and fucking black. But no, I'd love to see 5 or 8 goals from him. I think
Grizz's Matip just squashed down. If you stretch Grizz to 6'5", he'd be exactly.
Grizz's Matt in 4.3.
But listen, you're right about that. For his size, all right, he's not as dangerous in the box as VVD is, but I have noticed a difference. He has become very, very dangerous, and it's obvious they've been working on it. You can see the movement and the patterns when sort of we get a set piece between him and thing. That's another thing he's got over Gomez, because Gomez, even though Gomez is not no midget, he still doesn't have any presence in the opposition penalty box. But this is another bow to our arrow. Do you remember that one? I've worked it out and I've sussed it out. So that's another bow to our arrow.
Yeah.
We've got when Matip plays, because as Matt was saying earlier, not only we can out football you, but we can sort of out fight you, out battle you, and then even out set piece you now as well. So do you know where people used to sort of just, oh my God, we're gonna play for set pieces and hopefully get them on the set piece. Well, we can beat you in that as well now. So we're looking formidable.
Matt, I'm gonna go through this second half fairly quickly, and I'm gonna give you the penalty and the second goal. Mo Salah, he looks to me like a player that just believes he's one of the best in the world now. There's no doubt in him. He just looks like, I'm so fucking good, and I'm going to just show you this week in and week out. He gets the penalty, which leads to Luis being carded. Then Luis can't touch him for the third. Just a magnificent display, I thought, from Mo Salah yesterday, Matt.
Yeah, it's beautiful. As I said, it's best in a long time. Just his direct running, everything. I mean, he's been trying it. It just hasn't been coming off. But now you just know when he's running through there, the difference between him running through and Pepe running through. He just knew Salah was going to score. And that penalty, absolutely disgusting. I mean,
he's definitely been practicing that.
Yeah, the neck on the cunt to put it up there, unbelievable. I just love him. It's I don't know. You run out of things to say about this lad. He just gets better and better. And to look at last season and think that's one of people saying it's a bad season for him. And he got how many in the league? 22.
Yeah.
I think he's on now. No, I don't think. I know he's on 77 goal involvements in 77 games for us.
Yeah,
that's absolutely disgusting. That hasn't got a single run of bad form in that. He's just another level. He's been consistently amazing since we signed him. Not once has he gone through a bad patch. The only thing you can look at, he had a few games where he wasn't scoring, but his shots and his XG, as you like to talk about, I know, were exactly as they were. He was just getting unlucky with what he was doing. So I don't think he's had a single bad patch in his whole Liverpool career.
You know something? That goal, the penalty is really well worked between Trent and Firmino. Luis is ridiculous. Grizz, he's ridiculous what he does, because I'm not 100% sure Salah gets onto that. And if he does, he's at a tight angle on his right foot. But then he can't touch him for Salah's second and Liverpool's third. But what I couldn't get over, Grizz, was the amount, and it continues to happen, the amount of teams that allow Mo Salah to stand up against their left centre half, right, while we let their left back drift down the pitch, and we just draw them in and play that ball into that space, and we attack them. I said it after the Norwich game. Henderson just kept telling them to stay up there, to basically cheat the position and stay up there. Grizz, surely somebody's going to cop this at some stage, but a magnificent goal, like the touch, the pace, the cut inside, the composure, everything. It was just a fantastic goal.
Yeah, I really think Henderson deserves a bit of praise for the slight tactical change since when he's been playing as the 8, and where, as you say, he does actually allow Salah to cheat, so to speak. I mean, Pepe was allowed the same freedom for them, but we saw the difference in levels. Salah's all-round game, I think, reminds me of the first season, where he was scoring, but he was also assisting and sort of playing these 1-2s around the box. His all-round play and touch seems to be far better than sort of last season. I thought last season he did struggle at times. I think we discussed it as well, where his touch was slightly Lukaku-esque at times. But it's back now.
I'd never go that far.
Yeah, who's this cunt?
Lukaku-esque, not totally Lukaku, but yeah. So, but he's back to his absolute best now, and it's brilliant to see. It's come out. I think one thing we've got to say is he's totally over his shoulder injury or any lingering doubts that were in his sort of. He was probably physically fit, but mentally maybe there was slight doubt always sometimes in his mind last season. I think that's totally out of the window now. He looks totally fresh, even though he's hardly had a break because of the AFCON. I just think his all-round game, I agree, that was one of his best games. He was a threat every time on and off the ball, and the way he creates and sort of creates space for others as well, which the likes of we've seen Bobby and Mane totally exploit as well. It bodes well for the up and coming season. I thought Mane had a fairly okay game. It wasn't his best game, yet still, we scored 3 goals and we could have easily scored 6, 7. That's the kind of levels we're playing at now.
Yeah, listen, there was talk, Matt, that I thought Liverpool were brilliant from half-time to about 70-ish minutes. There was talk then that we dropped off and people were a little bit upset at the goal that we conceded, and I think we were a bit unfortunate. I think Henderson tries to get there and it kind of ricochets, and it's a good finish from Torreira, in fairness to him. A few people got upset over it, and there's enough Liverpool fans out there that don't need an excuse to moan. They'll find fucking.
I think it was most fans that had 2 defenders from the FPL.
Yeah, but listen, a lot of fans will find anything they can to moan about. You know, you're winning 3-1, and they're on social media asking why isn't the planning permission plans in the fucking Echo for the Anfield Road end. You know, they're mental. Like, but we laid it off. What was completely off the gas, Matt, for the last 15, 20, I would argue. Is this us pacing ourselves already, Matt? Is this us pacing ourselves and saying, listen, when games are won, we don't need to go gung ho. Just get the game out of the way, win the game, and that 20 minutes could be huge for recovery and different things like that. Are we pacing ourselves already 3 games in?
I hope so. Yeah, it's the absolutely right thing to do. Imagine we're going full pelt and someone gets an injury. Mm-hmm. What do you say then? If we're 3-0 up, absolutely lay off the gas, pull it back, control the game, pass it around a bit more, a bit slower, and just save your energy. We've got a long season coming up. There's a lot of moaning in the summer that we haven't got the legs for it. So when we're 3-0 up, even 2-0 up at some points, just pull back a little bit, just make the changes, give people rests. I mean, it's not too bad at the moment. We've got a big gap until our next game, and we've only got 2 games in like 22 days or something, but we've got an international break coming up, and a lot of our players are still just in the last third of their pre-season, pretty much, with people like Mane. So yeah, if we didn't do that, I'd be annoyed. I'm not annoyed that we did. Conceding a goal means absolutely fuck all.
Yeah,
we're not winning the league on goal difference.
Yeah, like it's. Yeah, I agree with you. Just win games, and if you lay off. Man. No, don't you start. You don't even have. You don't even have us to win the league, so don't you be panicking about it.
Yeah, he's talking about a shoulder injury from 2 fucking seasons ago.
Yeah, Mick says Salah back to a 4-season level. Dunno says Angry Mo is the best Mo. Let me see.
By the way, Gav, there's issues with Periscope tonight. It's not our fault.
No, it's not. This setup is absolutely perfect on my screen. It's Periscope that's doing it.
People always have to catch up on YouTube. So
no, it'll be out. It's out on Periscope. It's out on YouTube. We have the setup is absolutely spot on with us tonight. Everything on our screen is moving absolutely perfectly. It's something to do with Periscope that's happening tonight. I don't know if I presume YouTube is okay. But I just. For me, I'm with you, Matt. I want to see us pace ourselves. I want to see us go into games and be 3-0 up after 60, 65 and saying, yeah, if we concede 1, who cares? The game is over. We've another tough one coming on Burnley away on Saturday evening.
Burnley away.
Well, no, it is tough on a Saturday evening.
It's not.
I think
it's not.
Is.
We've got that.
Well, I hope we do.
Smashing them.
But no, they were. I think they had this 97-minute penalty against them this afternoon, and they drew one all the way to Wolves. But look, people that are listening, throw in your man of the match suggestions. But Grizz, I'll come to you first. All round brilliant performance, I thought. There wasn't a player in the pitch that played badly, but for you, man of the match, who would it be?
I don't think any of us will disagree. I think if we do, you're just being a knob. Yeah, correct. Mm-hmm. You might. But I think it was clearly Mohamed Salah. I thought he was, as we've discussed, he was unplayable at times, and long may it continue.
I'm going to disagree to a point, but I'll let Matt go first. I'm interested to see what Matt says. Matt, man of the match.
There's the obvious one, but Salah.
Salah. Okay. Do you know what? I'd like to give a mention to Fabinho. I thought he was excellent. I really did.
Fabinho?
Fabinho, yeah. I thought he was excellent. Now, listen, we could go through the whole team and probably give them most of them 8, 9.
By the way, we need to give a shout out to Bobby as well. He's come back from that Copa America, and he's just bringing the Samba style this season. He's gone up a little level.
He's about 4 levels up. He's about 4 levels up on what he was this time last season.
Beautiful. I love him as a player. He's trying more flicks. He's turning the shooting. It seems like he's picked up confidence from from that win with Brazil, and now he's getting picked for them. And he's just bringing it back to the Premier League now, and he's going to tear it up.
Yeah, and when we win the league, I just can't wait for his celebration when we win the league.
He's going to go on a...
I think it'll be better than... I think it'll be better,
isn't he?
I think it'll be better than Henderson lifting the trophy.
He's actually playing on real life football, like how most of us dream about. Well, actually, most of you guys dream about how to play on the Pro Evolution.
Yeah.
Because I'm actually quite good. I can do all them tricks that he does.
Yeah?
Yeah, I can do them.
All right.
On the PlayStation.
You do realise now.
That to press the buttons, you just mash the pad.
You'd be great at that Olympics game. Do you remember the Olympics game where you had to hit all the buttons at the same time? Yeah, you remember the Olympics game, Matt, where you had to bash A and B?
Yeah.
Grizz would be amazing at that.
But now he's playing like a dream, isn't he? He's reminding me of like a cross between Ronaldinho and Romario is at the moment. He's just pure confidence and it's working as well, and the work rate is still there. It's just like the rest of them. It's a joy to watch our front three at the moment. And
it absolutely is. The reason I want to give Fabinho a mention was I just thought, I remember back to one of his first games for Liverpool was away at Arsenal, and he kind of got to run around a little bit. He didn't look on the pace, but he just looked like he owned that midfield yesterday. Like he was literally walking on, going, "I'm the main man. I'll take this ball when I want, and I'll pass it around. I'll get stuck in." He was tackling. I just thought Fabinho was brilliant. But Mo Salah wins the penalty, scores the third. He terrorises them all day. He was absolutely outrageous. Just looking ahead to Burnley, we mentioned it there a second ago before we go. Grizz, a win there puts us 4 from 4, top of the league going into the international break. I asked Matt about us pacing ourselves, but is it another kind of statement to make that look, we're on a roll now and we're going to make this 4 from 4 and nobody can touch us before this international break?
Yeah, I'm with you in terms of I do think it's going to be a tough game. It always is at Burnley. I don't think City had a tough game there as well last season, if I remember rightly. I think they had like a sort of a goal over the line or something like that, and that's the only way they won over there. So it's always tough to play Burnley. I think if we manage to get a win from that game, I think it's the perfect start. Well, it is the perfect start game-wise, sort of a points-wise, but it's also a perfect start after the slight doubts some of our own fan base had about with regards to we haven't improved, we've stood still. Fucking hell, if we add 4 wins out of 4 in the Champions the Super Cup as well to the start of the season, I think hopefully it will shut up a few of the pessimists that are just always panicking and worrying and looking for sort of flaws. I mean, look, there is few flaws in our team. We're not the perfect team, the most perfect team ever, but boy, we're working towards some level of eliteness that I can't remember in my time, and it's quite a long time. My time.
It's a long time playing Pro Evolution as well. It's like Dunno says that he thinks Shaqiri is angling for a move, but Klopp won't let him. We'll get on to that on the show tomorrow night. I'll look that up. I'll have a look at it in the next 24 hours and talk to you about that tomorrow. Kev O'Sullivan says Salah was man of the match, but for me, Genie was brilliant. Dunno has Fabinho as man of the match. Apparently YouTube is faulting as well tonight. I don't know what's going on because their setup is absolutely spot on here tonight. I really don't know. Matt, have you anything else you'd like to talk to before I let you off so you can go to bed?
PSG have just scored an absolute beautiful goal.
Yeah.
Chow promoting. Don't even know who he is.
Well, he was with Stoke at one stage, I think.
Was he? Yeah.
Yeah.
Gets the ball in the box. Turns maybe
Matt
5 defenders. 5 defenders it, and then he toes it off the post and in.
Oh, lovely. Nice one.
I thought you were doing a Chinese there. Say his name again.
Chupo